Welcome back to PRN Test Drive. I'm James, and this is the 2025 Infiniti QX80 Autograph. Now, the autograph trim means I have absolutely everything. I've got the best of the best, and this makes it a high-end luxury three-row SUV. Now, I also think that in the autograph trim, the QX80 is sort of able to compete with brands like Cadillac, the Escalade, even the GMC Yukon Denali, and possibly a couple of the Lincolns. Because those are all truck-like, high-end luxury three-row SUVs, and this one falls perfectly right into those markets. So today I'm going to tell you everything you need to know in case you're interested in spending your money on one of these QX80s of 2025, and we're also going to see if GMC, Cadillac, or Lincoln have anything to worry about. Let's see if there's a new king in town. So since I'm standing outside already, let's talk about the exterior design. If you look at the QX80 from the front, you'll see it has really nice daytime running LEDs. I do like the simplicity of it. I found, the previous generation to be a little bit more complex, a little bit more curvy. This is simple without being too much, and it's also a little bit more luxurious without being too much. It falls perfectly right in the middle between simple and luxurious, and I'm actually a fan of it. I've got it in kind of this Stormtrooper configuration this week, but I actually do kind of enjoy it. The white's really grown on me, although here in the winter, salty roads in Quebec, it's extremely difficult to keep dirty because you drive it for 30 seconds and it's disgusting. Also up front, I have the 360-degree cameras as well as parking sensors because we do have the best camera system that you can get. It's a 360, very high quality, and I do enjoy it. Now, if you look at the QX80 from the side, you'll see that it has very nice door handles that come in and out of the body. So far in the winter, that has not froze on me, and it's been strong enough to actually break through the ice. So that's good news too. Now, when you look at it from the side profile, there isn't a lot of stuff that really stands out. And that's completely fine to me because I'm not looking for this SUV to be super in-your-face, luxury, look at me, I'm super sporty. I just want it to be simple when I think about the QX80 and what it is and what it wants to be. And I think the side profile does a good job. Now, if you take a look at it from the back, you do have quite a nice looking light bar in the back. I like the badging that you got the QX80 with the four-wheel drive badge, because of course we have four-wheel drive here. We got your parking sensors and camera back there, and you got a button that's gonna open your automatic tailgate for the trunk. Of course, you've got a ton of trunk space with the third row up. Even I feel like it's just enough in this segment, but if you fold your third row down, and by the way, all rows in this vehicle are all power folding, so that's very important as well and also really nice. But if you take that third row down, you got a ton of room in this thing. You can also adjust the air suspension from back there as well, so if you want it to be a little bit higher or a little bit lower while you're loading your trunk, you absolutely can do that. Now, next I want to talk to you about specs, numbers, and everything else in between, but I'm going to do that from the inside because it's absolutely freezing, and I think my ears are starting to catch frostbite again, so let's hop on in. All right, so now that we're inside, let me tell you what is under the hood of this QX80. As a matter of fact, let me tell you about what's under the hood from all the QX80s. The good news is that all QX80s come with this 3.5-liter V8 twin-turbo engine, giving us a 450 horsepower, 516 pound-feet of torque. We're also paired with a 9-speed automatic transmission and, of course, all-wheel drive. And we have a maximum towing capacity of 8,500 pounds. Now, you're going to pay the price for this QX80 in its autograph trim because my as-tested price is right around $126,000 Canadian. That is a ton of money, and exactly why I tell you that it is in the same price range as, sort of a lower, maybe a lower-end Cadillac, so, one of the lower-end Lincolns, and definitely in the price range of something like a Yukon Denali. And you'll see as I take you through the interior that, Infiniti wasn't playing any games. They were seriously here with this new QX80 to really make a mark on this truck-like three-row SUV high-end luxury market, and I think they've done a decent job of that. So, since we're already in the interior, let's actually hop in the back and check that out first. All right, so now I'm having a seat in the back of the QX80, specifically the second row, and you can see I have a ton of leg room here. I've got a ton of foot room. It's really comfortable back here. Ton of headroom as well. You can see that very well from this camera angle that I've got here. And you can see the trim is extremely nice as well. You can see I've got this kind of burgundy color on the inside with this nice trim. I've also got a Klipsch, I think that's how you say that. I've got the surround sound audio system in here. Really, really nice, high quality stuff. Makes it feel very high end, and I always appreciate that. My seat here that I'm sitting in, as well as the passenger seat to my right, which has the baby seat, which of course fits no problem. My baby enjoys it. She's able to see out the window here, and it is a very easy setup process. Even though I have this center console, I'm still able to reach around and get to the tie down points very easily. So if you want to carry kids in your QX80, you're gonna have absolutely no problem. So it is power adjustable. I can lean almost all the way back, which is very nice, and I can also kind of come forwards as well. And then I have a climate control screen right in front of me where I can, adjust the fan speed. I've got heated and ventilated seats for both of these captain's chairs, which is absolutely fantastic. But I don't need to use this screen in front of me at all. I can use the one that's right next to me, right next to my seat. And here I can control my climate, my heated and ventilated seats, the seat adjustment, as well as the seat massage. Yes, you heard this right. I have both. The captain's chairs here have massaging seats. That is luxury to the nine, and not something we see on every single high-end luxury vehicle that's a 3-row. So that's a very huge plus from Infiniti. We don't always see a screen here in the middle either. I really do like this center console. It does make the 3rd row a little bit harder to access because you can no longer just go in between the captain's chairs. You gotta hop in, you gotta fold this seat first and then go back there. But I do like it. It is something I would option myself with. I also have a ton of storage here with 2 USB-C ports, and I've got cup holders right over here. I also like how the back seats are embroidered with the Autograph logo on here. So you always know that you're in the top trim of the QX80. And I'm a fan of badges, and I'm a fan of, just having it everywhere, that I've spent a ton of money and, that the car knows it. But yeah, overall, I could do a road trip back here with absolutely no problem at all. It's a great place to spend time, and I think it definitely competes with those top vehicles in the market. And it's just a very surprising thing because I really didn't expect this from Infiniti, and it's going to surprise us even more as we go through the rest. All right, so now I'm in the 3rd row of the QX80, and I got to tell you, I was really surprised to figure out that I actually fit back here pretty decently. If the front seats stay the way it is over behind this passenger, I've got a ton of room. But what I also have is cup holders, a USB-C charge port, and heated seats. You heard that right. I've got heated seats back here, which is really, really cool. And they also recline, which is really nice. So I can bring them forward and I can push them, decently far back. Something that you wouldn't expect from just a basic 3rd row. I actually got a pretty big window out here as well, which is super impressive. And I can, slide over here into this middle seat and still be, ton of room. You could, if you absolutely had to, fit 3 full-size grown adults back here, and it wouldn't be that bad, which is super impressive. And usually it's not even the case. Usually I don't even like to come back here during the reviews because it's so uncomfortable. I try to blow my back out just getting back here, but this is not the case for the QX80. And let me show you too. Let's say, the person in front of you forgets to let you out. Well, the button is so conveniently located here on the QX80 to move the seat forward. So I'll just click it right here and you'll see what happens. And you can see that it's not changing its shape, right? So that's convenient as well when you have a seat like I do. It will kind of fold forward as much as it can, obviously, without actually breaking the shape or having to remove your baby's car seat to get out. Very cool. All right, so sitting up nice and comfortable in the front seat once again, and now we're gonna go over it. So once you hop in to the QX80, you're greeted by this sort of interesting steering wheel, a steering wheel that I honestly didn't think I would like long term, but it's actually been pretty good to use. It is like a more haptic feedback button steering wheel. The buttons can kind of change based off what you need. So for people who don't want haptic stuff, you're probably not gonna like this steering wheel too much, but it is pretty cool. Left hand side, I've got all my cruise control settings and a volume control as well. Standard stuff there, nothing crazy going on. Now the right hand side is where I can control a lot of the vehicle from. I can control things from the gauge cluster, and I can also control things from the center infotainment screen, which is really cool. And you'll notice that the ball here is slightly on a slant, which actually makes it kind of feel quite intuitive, because when I'm like scrolling through a vertical menu or a side menu, it still kind of just feels the same. It feels good to use this scroll wheel to go in and out. And I think Infiniti have done a really good job at kind of creating that sense of just comfort of just scrolling through menus is something you wouldn't think you need, but it's actually really cool that it's here. So I can press 2 buttons, and those 2 buttons on the steering wheel here will tell me which side I want to operate. So if it's on the left is highlighted, I'm controlling the gauge cluster. If it's on the right and the right is highlighted, I'm controlling the infotainment display. Very cool, and I've used it tons of times because when you're actually sitting in the driver's seat, you can't reach the infotainment screen that well. And instead of implementing a trackpad, we're looking at you, Lexus and Acura, in some cases, they actually made something where you can control it from a steering wheel with a knob or a wheel. Good job, Infiniti. I also do have paddle shifters. I like the girth of the steering wheel as well, and we've got the Infiniti logo kind of embroidered in there. Very nice. Over on the all the way to the left-hand side, I have controls like lane keep assist, auto start stop button, the ability to open the tailgate. I've got 2 memory seat settings, and of course my window controls, and the same for the door here. Very nice door panel with the nice texture, and all the materials in here feel upscale, feel high quality, and I really like that. Speaking of our digital gauge cluster, it is sort of customizable. You can kind of customize what's in the middle. You can also customize the theme, which for most people is going to be enough. I just wish I could customize the little things on the left and right, what I want to see, you know, have it kind of move it around a bit. If I want to see something in the middle, like the speed, I can do that. Fortunately, you can't do that with this one, but that's a kind of niche thing. Not everybody's going to really care about that, so that's fine. We also do have a heads-up display as well. Very nice. I've got a digital rear view mirror camera, which does kind of get gunked up a little bit more than I'd like, but again, I've had some pretty garbage weather here in Quebec this past week with the Infiniti QX80, so it might not be a problem all the time. With our digital infotainment display, I really enjoy the layout here. It's very smooth, very snappy. Wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You can set up different driver profiles, so it'll set things like the language and the seating positions and the ambient lighting. You can kind of change all that stuff in here. It's also got Google Maps built in, so that's always good if you're a Google Maps user. And it also has one thing that is a standout that not many other vehicles have, and I feel like they all should, especially in this price point, is a built-in dash cam. I actually have a camera right here for the interior one, and there's one on the exterior, front and back, and it is super important. It's hardwired. I don't have to install anything that's hanging. That is the most important thing, and it comes from the factory, and that is absolutely wonderful. Now, in terms of physical buttons for HVAC controls and things like that, doesn't exist, not gonna happen. You basically have 2 physical buttons to skip your track and a volume knob, and that's where it ends. Everything else is going to be controlled by the screen. Once again, Infiniti doing that dual screen thing, but this time they've done it right. I remember driving an Infiniti that had it built into the dashboard, so it was like a high touch screen and then a low touch screen for other stuff. Disgusting, didn't like it. This is the right way to do things. If you hate physical buttons, you're absolutely going to hate this, but I don't really mind this. It's kind of a haptic touch feedback screen. I've got tri-zone automatic climate control. That's where you're going to control this. I can toggle between the front and the rear. I've also got heated and ventilated seats, which is very nice as well. My seats here for the driver and passenger, of course, they're massaged up front and also power adjusted, and even the passenger has their memory seatings. But over here on the screen, I can also click the mode button, and this is where I can control my air suspension, my adaptive ride height. I can also have my snow, my tow mode, my sport mode, my eco mode, my standard, and you even have a personal mode here, which you actually have to customize through the gauge cluster. It's a little weird. But overall, it's been easy once I got used to like how much force I had to apply to actually use the screen. You actually have to press it like you're pressing a button. You can't tap it like you're tapping an actual touch screen. It's kind of different, and you get the feedback when the button is working. It's quite a loud noise too. Now, lower than that, I have my gear selectors as well as a ride height button and a 360-degree camera button, which is very nice to have. And then I've got a wireless charging spot here with our 2 USB-C ports. I've got cup holders, and I've even got a cool box, sort of a fridge. I'll turn it on. You should be able to hear it in the mic. So if you have drinks or a baby bottle or whatever you got that you want to keep cool, you can keep it cool in there and turn on the box. If not, you can just use it as normal storage. And you'll also notice behind my head, I've got this nice speaker. It's the Klipish. I don't know if I'm saying that right. You're probably going to butcher me in the comments, but I don't know how to say it. But look, it's really cool. I like this surround sound stuff. Very nice. The passenger seat has it as well. And the passenger has like a nice Infiniti logo to look at. They've also got a decent amount of ambient lighting in here as well. The seats are extremely comfortable. Really no complaints there at all. I'm so comfortable in here. It's aided by that air suspension and different things like that. So let's actually get it on the road and see how it's been to drive for a week. Okay, so we're now out on the road with a QX80, and what a fun and just nice, luxurious week it has been. It has just been easy to use this thing, easy to mall crawl with it. You know, it's definitely not like the most sporty thing in the world, despite having the twin turbo V6. It's sporty for what it is, but like I didn't care about how fast it went or how loud it sounded. I cared about how comfortable it was and just how easy overall it was to get my child in and out, and you know, picking her up from daycare and stuff like that. How easy was that to manage with this vehicle, and just fitting all the stuff you need when you have a family. And I'm happy to report that all that has been super easy to use, and it's like attracted a little bit of attention too. There's not a lot of vehicles like this out on the road, specifically the QX80. I think I'm the only one in my area. You just don't see them. But people are impressed by it. People don't really expect that Infiniti is still trying to do something, because Infiniti has just kind of released the same thing for a long time. It hasn't really changed things. And the QX80 is one of the ones that have really been changed, and changed for the better. And people are really noticing it. And they're like, wow, I didn't know it existed. And it's awesome. And I've been able to tell them, like, look, take a look at the interior, you know? Look at this thing in the inside, because that's really where it shines. The outside's not a lot to look at. The inside is so upscaled, and when you're driving it, you just feel it. The ride quality is really, really good here. Definitely not on par with something like a Cadillac Escalade. I feel like maybe that's the only part where it can't compete. I just feel like Escalade and Cadillac have been doing things, you know, the luxurious way for a long time. And so is Infiniti, but I just feel like Cadillac is doing that part better for longer, and I think that's going to continue to be the case. But still, it doesn't mean that this thing rides like garbage, because it doesn't. It's very comfortable. The air suspension is very, very nice to have. I'm going over through like solid bumps. The camera's probably moving around a lot more than I am in my seat here. So let's throw her into sport mode, and let's see what we got on this straightaway here. Full beams. Oh yeah, not bad at all. Not bad at all. Quite a big loud engine sound, you know, not a lot of exhaust noise coming out of here. There's quite a bit of turbo lag, I will say. It's not that responsive, especially when you put your foot all the way to the floor. Takes a second for it to realize. Again, something I was kind of expecting from the Infiniti when it comes to that, because I'm not expecting it to be a bullet in a straight line. It does feel heavy. Like I said, it's a truck-like SUV, so 450 horsepower is more than enough. You know, I'm overtaking slower traffic, you know, merging onto the highway with absolute ease. It's just a breeze. And the most important thing is it's comfortable while that's happening. Most of the time, though, I've driven it around in standard mode, because like sport mode just doesn't add that much to the game, and I don't really care about being the quickest thing on the road. And I also don't care about the fact that there's no V8 this year. I couldn't be bothered, because I don't know, I just feel like there's certain cars that make sense with a V8. Of course it would be more fun with a V8, don't get me wrong. It's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that I don't feel like the QX80 absolutely needs a V8. It's perfectly good with a twin turbo V6, and it's actually impressive. I expected the power to be a lot worse than it actually is. Now, handling has been very good as well. In sport mode, it does kind of tighten up, so does the accelerator pedal and the brakes, but again, mall crawling, maneuverability, turning radius has all been very predictable and very easy. And you know, especially in the snow, I've driven in a little bit of, you know, bad conditions, a bit of snowy weather and stuff like that. It's been pretty good, very predictable. I can pop it into the snow mode. It'll slow things down a little bit and just make sure you have traction. And, you know, I have slid a couple of times on purpose just to see what would happen, and just to see and feel the traction control kind of take over and straighten me out really, really quickly. Has made me feel very safe in the QX80. And again, it's one of these vehicles where you'd have to be extremely dumb to get yourself stuck. Visibility has also been pretty decent. It's kind of got like a narrow windshield, so that's something to keep in mind. It's also got like a really big front end. You can always see it, which kind of does help with parking and stuff like that. Of course, you got the 360-degree cameras and the parking sensor, so parking this thing should be an absolute breeze. But it's got the blind spot stuff. I feel like my windows are big enough, nice and big mirrors as well. And I've also got the digital rear view camera, which when it's not gunked up with garbage from the Quebec roads or just general snow and garbage and whatever the winter throws at this car, it's very good and pretty reliable. Now, do I expect Infiniti to kind of overtake Cadillac or, you know, GMC or Lincoln's market? Probably not. Honestly, probably not. I think those guys have got it on lock. And there's just more people that expect it from them and expect this kind of high quality thing from those guys, Infiniti, I don't know, personally, I never was expecting much. Driven a couple of them, never been that impressed by them, never really felt like, oh my God, I must own one. I feel like they've been doing the same thing over and over again. And now that they've switched though, I think we need to give them some time to kind of see how much of the market they can eat up of this kind of truck-like high-end luxury SUV market that they can kind of try to eat up. Because I just feel like, again, by the reactions that I've had from other people, I just don't feel like enough people know that this exists yet. And that's probably why we don't see them on the road. And also it's in a very unique price point where, you know, over 100 grand, you're kind of getting into a small, select few people that can actually afford to spend that on a depreciating asset like a vehicle. So it's going to be one of those things as well. But look, I do think though that it is absolutely on par, especially interior-wise, especially material-wise, just some of the driving feel as well. It's on par with, you know, those high quality chauffeur-like vehicles, you know, like so your GMC Yukon Denali that has like a ton of space, very roomy all around, has a ton of features for luxury in the back and the front. I think it falls perfectly into that category and it competes beautifully there. I think I would expect to see this in something like, you know, one of those high-end Uber services kind of thing, you know, like if you're running an Uber business that has a high, you know, you're driving high luxury cars, this could definitely be one that people would be impressed and very happy with. And it does compete with those guys there in terms of just feel and luxury look on the inside anyways. That's gonna about do it for my thoughts for the QX80. I think I hit everything I wanted to tell you about. Hopefully you have a good idea of what it's actually like to live with, what it would be like to drive, the price, the specs. Hopefully we went over all of that with you and you kind of have a good understanding of what you're getting yourself into if you want to drop around $126,000 on one of these things. It's a lot of money, really is, and I really don't, probably why I don't see any of them out on the road. But let me know what you think. Do you own an old QX80? Do you prefer the old look? How do you find the redesign? Do you think they did a better job, or do you think they could have just kept releasing the same thing and it would have been absolutely fine? I want to hear all your thoughts. If you own one of these things, let me know how reliability's been for you, because I only get it for a week, so I can never know. With that being said, make sure that you subscribe. Make sure you check out all the other videos. Niall has been doing some really interesting stuff that I am personally a fan of. I really like the new stuff that he's been doing. He's been, you know, focusing on different parts of the automotive market and showing me things that I've known about as a journalist but had absolutely no time to look into, and he really takes it down and simplifies it so that like it's just the meat and potatoes of what you need to know, and it's actually very interesting stuff. So I really want you guys to go and give that a watch for me and watch all the other videos we've got on here, because they're all pretty good. Not to toot our own horn, but we're all pretty good. We're pretty decent at what we do. So with that being said, I will see you in the next week, see you in the next car. Take care.